Aaron Zauber here of Fully Alive Coaching TV. I'm so happy to be with you for another Monday morning to kick off your week. And today we're going to talk about authenticity and the power of showing up as we really are. We're going to talk about the power of intention. And I'm going to start us off with an embodiment meditation before we get into it. Also, today, before that, I'm going to I want to take some callers if someone would like to call in. So you can do that either by phone at 919-518-9773 or by Skype, which is going to be voice only. So no one's going to see you. It's just going to be your voice. And that is computers, the number 2K voice, computers 2K voice. So, let's start off with an embodiment meditation, just a little scan through the body to go through and drop your awareness into this beautiful vehicle that you have to navigate your life with. So if you're at a place where you can close your eyes, I'll invite you to do that with me here. And if you can't, if maybe you're just listening to this somewhere, then feel free to keep your eyes open if you need to. So I want you to become aware of your toes. And just notice what it's like to feel your toes. Maybe you notice some tingling. Maybe there's heat or coolness. And just let your awareness rest in your toes and invite any tension there to relax and release. Notice your feet, the whole foot now, and the ankle. And notice how, as you're noticing your foot, that any thoughts automatically begin to drop away. You're becoming more in the present moment right now as you bring your awareness back to your feet, right back to your feet. Now feel your ankles and your lower legs. And just notice the sensations and invite them to relax. Maybe you'll even notice that your breath begins to change. And as your thoughts start to run, just take your awareness and gently bring it back to your knees. Feeling your knees all the way down to your feet now. Notice how this actually allows your entire body to relax more. I'll feel your upper legs. Just noticing them. Notice the bones and the tissues. Notice any tingling, any energy moving through. And just invite it all to relax. Notice how this gently invites your whole body to relax. Notice your pelvis. Just invite your pelvis to relax. Your lower stomach and intestines. Any tension that's in your lower torso, just notice it without judgment and invite it to let go. Maybe visualize any tension in your body just gently draining into the earth. Notice your mid chest. Invite it to let go. Notice your back, your upper chest, your heart. Just notice what it's like to be with your body, to have your awareness in and around your body without judgment. This is the place where the entire experience of your life is happening right now. So give yourself a moment, an opportunity to be with life as it's really happening here in your body right now. Notice your shoulders and your upper arms, your elbows, forearms, hands. Notice how, as you put your awareness all over your body, that the thoughts that maybe you were obsessed with, or if there were any thoughts calling your attention, they kind of just drift away. Excuse me. Notice your throat and neck, and finally your head. Relax your jaw, your eyes, your face. Allow your awareness to be expanded all over your entire body from your toes to your head. And let it all relax. Offer your body a moment of gratitude for giving you this experience it's giving you. So, this practice you can do anytime. You can make it as short or as long as you like. And if you did it with me just now, you might have noticed how the thoughts that were running through your head might have started to calm down. Um, there's a way that our thoughts can kind of run away and we can allow our awareness to be taken with them, so much so that we identify with our thoughts. In other words, we don't even realize that we are not our thoughts. Our thoughts can be so overwhelming or disturbing sometimes, and we can forget that those are not our thoughts are not who we really are. Maybe who we are is something much greater, much bigger, and much more stable than our thoughts themselves. So that's a little body scan. You can lengthen it. I do about 45 to 60 minutes every morning, 57 days in a row now. My Insight meditation app said this morning. So that's just a great way to, over time, gently allow the tension to come to the top and then to scrape it off. Um, that's one way to sort of visualize what's happening. And we go throughout our lives and experience happens, and it happens in our bodies. And that experience can accumulate in a way that can be heavy over time, right? And that's the tension. We have these experiences. Maybe they happened even years ago. And what what is going on with these experiences a lot of times is that they're still sort of unresolved and we're still holding on to them. What that means to hold on to something is that there's a tightness, there's a clinging, and there's an attachment inside of our bodies. I know, right now I feel tightness in my heart. I feel tension in my intestines. And you may feel tension in any place of your body. And I want to invite you to consider that tension is for you. I've been observing over these last few days, this whole last week, the theme really was showing up. The theme for me had to do with showing up, even though it's difficult. So there were a number of things that happened in my life this past week that were difficult. I had some stories I'll tell you here about. Well, let me just start with one. So I was with a friend, actually a couple friends, and I felt a lot of tension in my body. And I felt in a way sort of detached. These are friends that I've known for years that are very aware people. And I'm not gonna reveal names or who they are, but this experience I had with them, I think is very universal. And, here I am, the fully alive coach, this fully alive coaching TV person. I mean, this is what I do with my life, right? I'm meditating all the time. I'm talking to clients about, showing up more, about knowing who we are. And here is this situation that I'm in with two friends when all that I was aware of was that I was being very detached and I was not showing up all the way. And I kept on trying to. I kept on trying to sort of say what was going on inside of me, and I kept on trying to connect with them in an authentic way, and it really wasn't happening. I just still felt kind of hard. I felt dense. I felt, um, I was there physically, but I wasn't there energetically. Until finally, one of them asked a question that prompted me in a way to really drop into my experience and to admit what I really wanted in that situation. And when I finally did, when I finally allowed my consciousness to sink deeper into my body, I started to talk to the other friend, and a lot of deep sadness came out, a lot of pain. I started to cry. I started to talk about what I really wanted in terms of my connection with this friend, and it was very painful. So it's not always necessarily that deep with all of us, and I think sometimes people can be intimidated by the way I talk about these things. That it always has to be this very grievous, painful experience. It can be that way, but sometimes it can just be a matter um, of showing up. So to put a tab on that, what ended up happening with these friends is I revealed what was really going on. I revealed the truth. I was authentic with them, and I showed up and I told them what I really wanted, how I really felt. And in those moments, what happened was, yes, there was some pain, and in that pain, there was almost a kind of medicine. Because what happened is all this energy I was using to detach and to stay um, unavailable to them, to stay away, became available. And and all the energy that I was using to push down my actual experience of what I actually wanted, that energy became freed up. And I noticed an opening inside myself. I noticed that the energy inside me started to flow. And yes, it was painful, but it was also incredibly freeing. And to be perfectly honest, I still feel a lot of the residue from those moments, which may be um, part of the tightness I feel in my heart and my intestines. But the truth of the matter is that when we allow ourselves to show up, it may be initially painful, but that's a short-term pain. The long-term benefit is the freedom underneath. There is always an opening, an expansion, and it just keeps going and going. We keep on expanding more and more and more, and we can find healing, we can find freedom on the other side. That's what it really means to be fully alive, is not to show up in just our highlights reel, in just the pretty colors that we prefer. What we would like to do sometimes is just show people the perfection. Like on Facebook. We all have those friends, or maybe it's us, where we get on Facebook or we get on social media, and maybe I shouldn't be using the name specifically, but we get on social media, right? And we talk about how beautiful and perfect our lives are. We talk about how it's all love and light, right? And we just show our friends the highlight reel of our lives. And what we're doing there is, it's a way of showing the pretty and the shiny. But what I invite you to consider is how often and how much are you allowing yourself to really be with those colors of the rainbow that are not your favorite ones. When we try to mute certain colors of our experience, when we try to show up and we say, I'm if I were to come here and say I'm the fully alive coach and I've got it all handled and I don't have any tension left in my body, I'm full of shit if I do that, because the truth of the matter is we're all exactly where we are. wherever that is. And it's quite endless. The most evolved people that I know, the most expanded awareness people that I know say the exact same thing, that they have their own edges. And for me, and for other powerful people, a lot of us, we like to live on our edges. And this is sort of a double-edged sword. It's in a way it's a blessing, in a way it's a curse. Because what we do is we look for those places that have tension because we want to free them up. If we're going to free ourselves up, though, it involves being with that tension. And if I had taken the moment with my friends and I had just stayed in that hard shell where I wasn't being truthful about what I really wanted, I wouldn't, I'd still sort of be, I'd be in the past. I'd be stuck where I wasn't in true alignment with who I really am. Okay, so there's a lot of topics here that are occurring to me to talk about. You know, one of the things I'm seeing, well, before I get into that, I want to say as well, I'd like someone to call in if you've got some questions. Call in either by Skype, which is voice only, or by phone. The Skype name is Computers 2K Voice. And the phone number is 919-518-9773. And what we can do is we can use the power of our connected consciousness to become aware of your edges. And we can do that with me and you, with these containers. And I promise that I will use compassion, and I'm going to feel out, what are you ready to let go of? And it may not be anything crazy. You may just want a little bit of clarity on your passion, on your purpose. A lot of times these deeper ideas that I'm talking about, the way they manifest is very mundane. The way these things manifest is just like, I want to go to bed early and I find myself staying up late. Or maybe I want to, so I do a lot of intermittent fasting. My goal is to cut my eating off around 4 p.m. And this is just something that works for me. It's just a personal choice. I don't try to push any of my, the way that works for me on anybody else, because we all have a different way that works best for us. And not even just that, but it changes as we move on and as we go forward. And as our consciousness evolves, what works for us one day might not work for us the next day. So I'm very sensitive to all that. And, I've done the whole, I'm a certified bulletproof human potential coach. Okay. That was my first coach certification. I'm a graduate of One Taste Life Coach training program around relationships and intimacy. I've did authentic relating for 2 years as a facilitator, and longer just involved in that. I ran a men's group for 2 years on lifestyle excellence, dating, and attraction. So on the one hand, I've got this like wealth of knowledge and experience. On the other hand, when I go online, or when I go sort of, when I'm connecting with people, the last thing that I want is more information. I mean, and this is just where my consciousness is at. I used to read every morning for, 30, 60 minutes. I would read 10 to 20 books a year for a long time. And I just got to the point now where I still have the books, and I've got stacks of books that I want to read, and I may get into them, at some point. But what I care about now more than anything else, and what I feel like the world needs more than any sort of information, more than any, free ebook of, five stealthy tips to enhance your marketing strategy. What I think people are looking for, or at least the people that I want to connect with, what we're looking for is a genuine connection. Is for someone to be able to be with us, who can see us and who can experience what it's like to actually be who we are. And that happens in here, and that happens in the other person. So, I want to practice a little bit of that right now. I want to practice what I preach. Last night I was texting a friend. I was like, what am I going to talk about tomorrow? And he had some really good advice, a great suggestion about it. Um, this person, Ramarion, I may even actually have him on in a future show. But he said, why don't you feel out into the audience and see what comes to you that might need to be talked about. So I'm going to do that right now, right here with you. Okay. Yeah, I got it. So one of the things that I see on one of the things that I see on social media is that we are giving a lot of energy to things that are beyond our sphere of influence. Okay? So there's a lot of things that are happening in the world that are very disturbing, okay, for many reasons that I'm not going to get into. But for whatever reason, they can disturb us. There's things going on in governments of the world. There's natural disasters that happen, and they really throw people off a lot. They can throw us off a lot. What I want to ask you to consider is, how much are you really getting involved in terms of actually getting out there and doing something about it? Now, if you are one of those people, God bless you. And I hope that you are able to make the kind of difference that you want to make, because there's definitely a need for people to be active in the political sphere, in the, on the big stage right now, and in the things that are happening. However, if you are not one of those people who's out there really, really taking action, how much are these things happening in the world that you're simply allowing to really bother you at a deep level? And maybe I want to invite you to consider that maybe some of these things that are happening are actually allowing some of your old experiences that have happened to you, things that have happened to you in your past. What's happening is maybe they're being drawn up. So again, something happens out there on the world stage, right? And we see news articles about it. And then what happens? It resonates with something inside of us. Okay, we've had an experience, a disturbing experience, and something is resonating there, right? It's we can feel it, and it might be even intense. So we can approach this a couple different ways. Here's a real world opportunity, right? I suggest that you take a moment to really be with the experience that's happening inside of you and see if you can find some compassion for that. See if you can put your awareness on that experience and notice where this human being, okay, so I'm asking you to detach your identity a little bit. So you want to become aware there's a human being here, okay? And this human being, in this case, Aaron, right? This human being has been born into a family, into a culture, into a world that has a certain set of experiences. And some of those experiences have been easy. Some of those experiences have been harsh and hard. And now, when other experiences happen in the world around me, it stirs things up, right? And what I can do is I can put my energy and put my focus on the news. And again, maybe I'm the type of person who needs to do that. Maybe I'm active out there, but maybe I'm allowing these experiences to distract me from really keeping my awareness here. So look, I'm talking to myself as much as I'm talking to you. I just told you a story about how I was with my friends, and I was, and how much of a challenge it was for me to drop into my own experience. I walked away from that experience amazed at how unconscious I was for those moments. Like, wow, but this is still a real challenge. It's a challenge on a daily basis to engage with our own experience. So, so talking about the authenticity and showing up, and also the power of intention, I want you to ask yourself, where is your intention in everything that's happening, and where can you actually make a difference? Where in the world can you change things? Can you show up to where you're not using what's happening on the world arena as a distraction to be with yourself? The reason why we try to distract ourselves is because this experience going on right here can be very intense. If you're like me and you feel things very intensely, then you know what I'm talking about. So the next time you encounter this sort of experience, maybe you open your phone, you see on the news something's not going in a way that's really making you feel great. I want to invite you to maybe do a body scan. Maybe notice, maybe pause. Here's an opportunity to really get worked up about something that I'm not going to take any action on. But maybe, it can just be this drama that we're involved in. And look, maybe that's exactly what you want. Maybe what you're wanting is to just be in the drama. Sometimes I want that. Sometimes I go to a movie just for the hell of it, just to be in the drama. But also, the opportunity is to be with the body and to be with the sensations here, and to notice if maybe there's a lot of energy that you're giving to the news, to what's happening outside of you, maybe to friends on social media, and really, ultimately, it's not going to serve you. So, so we can get sort of better at this. We can get clarity on this by getting clear on our priorities and our intentions. I actually took a moment to look up the word intention this morning on in the dictionary, and intention, I believe, is the second definition there. It's just pointing to a purpose or a direction. So so here's an example of an intention. Right now, my intention is to be with you all in an authentic way, to show up and to speak from my heart, and to share with you some perspectives that maybe can make a difference for you, so that you can live in a more peaceful way, but also in a more fully alive way, so that you can sort of be okay with the experience of life as it is, and so that you can have more energy to devote to what you really want to create. So let's ask about your intention, about what you're creating in your life. Maybe you want to create more, maybe you want to create more energy, have more energy. This is something that I wanted to talk about with you today. Um, Around 4 years ago, I actually burned out my adrenal glands. Now, what that means is, there's a couple glands that sit on top of the kidneys, and they produce energy hormones like adrenaline. That's where adrenal, you can hear the word adrenal, adrenaline. They produce some other energy hormones, I believe cortisol, norepinephrine. They give the body energy. Now, when we're pushing too hard, maybe, and this can be in sort of an outward way as well as an inward way, even though there's a big parallel there. They're both really kind of the same thing. Um, so when we're fighting against the experience we're having in life, we're devoting a lot of our energy to holding down the life that's inside of us, because that's what we're conditioned to do. We're conditioned to fight it. We're conditioned that it's inappropriate, that that it doesn't have value, that unless we're producing something, then there's no point, right? Unless, I've heard friends in the past talk about crying that way, talk about, what's the use or what's the point of allowing ourselves the opportunity to cry because it's not producing anything? Well, on the outside, it looks that way. But what happens over time when we fight our own energy is that it's exhausting and it's not sustainable. We get tired. We burn out our adrenal glands. If you're like me. So 4 years ago, I did this. I burned out my adrenal glands. I was only 26 years old because I was using so much energy to fight against the experience of life that I was having. I didn't think that it was okay to really go down in terms of the emotions, in terms of resting and allowing myself an opportunity to feel the incredibly intense experience, like the pain that I was feeling, the grief, the sorrow. Um, I think about I'm into astrology. Just I'll make a little confession here. And just a few days ago, the planet Venus went retrograde. What that means basically is that um, no one ever really explains this. So if you've ever heard of Mercury retrograde, that's a more commonly known one because it happens like 3 or 4 times a year. Um, it's basically the appearance of that planet being in backward motion. Of course, the planets, they're always moving in a forwards motion, but from our vantage point here on Earth, for a little while, it looks like they're going backwards. And it can be compared to when you're driving in a car and someone passes you. And for that brief moment, say they're passing you on the left, right? And for a brief moment, it almost looks like you're going backwards or one of you is going backwards, even though both of you are going forwards. So that little duration of time where it appears like one of those cars is going backwards, that's basically a retrograde motion. All right, so we got that clear. We know what that is. And the meaning of a retrograde is basically just an internalization of energy and it is kind of this slowing down appearance of going backwards that can allow us to reflect on what's going on and to be with our lives in more of that what I call the down. Doesn't mean everything's going to be that way, but for Venus, that planet rules love and money. So if you are having some especially loud struggles around relationships, around finances right now, you're not the only one. This is happening for everyone right now, and it may even just be a time of reflection. Of reorganizing your priorities in terms of relationships and financial issues in a very deep way, right? Because it's this sign is Scorpio. So I know I've just stumbled into this like astrology thing I haven't talked much about. But, here's the overview of this is that we need, or my point about all of this is that we need these times to really go within and reflect. And we need to allow ourselves time to do that. And maybe some of these struggles that you're facing on a regular basis, those might be pointing to areas where it's not that you're failing and it's not that you're being bad, it's not that you're doing something wrong, but maybe there's something calling your attention. Just like when we go inside and we put our awareness on our bodies, maybe there's maybe this tension that is in the heart or the gut or the ankle or wherever the tension is in the face. Maybe the tension is actually there for a reason. Maybe there's something that is calling your attention and your awareness. Isn't that interesting how the word tension and then attention are sort of related there? It just occurred to me. Okay, so I'd like to take a caller because again, I can give all this information and I'll keep talking until someone calls in. I'll give you all these nice ideas, but until we're actually doing the practice of putting our awareness here in the body, here on the issues in real life, it's only going to do so much. So let's have somebody call in. Maybe there's something simple that you'd like to sort of work on. It doesn't have to be some crazy painful thing from your past. Um, Again, I promise I'll be gentle and compassionate. I'll give you the number, then I'm going to tell the story while someone's calling in here. So 919 518-9773. Just do it. Just pick up the phone and give me a call and we'll have a conversation. Just me and you. I'm just a regular person, I promise. Um, I had someone who was going to come to my home office and on Saturday, I think it was, and they didn't show up. They were kind enough though to text me that they had chickened out. And this person actually texted me that. They're like, sorry, I chickened out. And, I couldn't even be mad because they texted me half an hour after the appointment. I'm kind of waiting around like, oh, where's this person? I hope they're okay. I'm just going about my business. Of course, I have 1,000 things I can do. But it shows how it shows a couple things. One, how important it is to do this work. Two, it shows how sort of scary it can be to expose ourselves, to expose what's really going on. Here I am, this person who's been doing this sort of work for 5 years solid, just going in, putting my attention on my awareness on where it hurts, on where it's tight, having these real conversations. And man, it is still a big practice. It can be discouraging for us sometimes when we're looking around, especially at the social media or even just, people in our daily lives. We go, in our workplace, and on the surface, it kind of looks like everybody has it together, right? We're all sort of holding it together. But my experience is that most of us are really just barely holding it together in a lot of ways. I mean, when we do this work, when we put our awareness on our bodies consistently over time, and we really start to release, we really start to show up more. What happens is we're beginning to have a level of honesty with ourselves that is deeper than normal. And we start to be aware of the tension that others are holding more than ever before. So we're training our awareness to be bigger, to hold more, to be able to be with more, to see more, to be conscious of more, which on the one hand allows us to be more free than ever. Okay. It's harder for people for us to sort of be deceived by anyone. It's harder for people to lie to us. Um, I had an experience a few weeks ago where this person running for office actually told me the way he introduced himself was, I'm a politician. And I was a little taken aback, like, oh, okay, that's interesting. You would use that word. And inside, I'm just thinking that. But I stood there and talked for a minute, and he's like, "We're gonna fight for the people." I'm like, "Okay, what are you gonna fight for?" And I'm just like, I'm just curious. I'm just kind of asking more questions. And as I continue to talk to him, I just start to feel this really strange feeling in my body. Like I sort of feel like I'm not being told the whole story here. And I feel like there's a lot going on here that is not being said. And so just have a polite interaction with this person. You know, it's a choice to go into it or not. But my point here is that the more honest we are with ourselves, the less we're going to be fooled by politicians, by marketers and advertisers. The more we're going to know ourselves. And we all know that there's power in knowledge, right? There's power in knowing ourselves. I talk a lot about power, right? Because, I want to demystify this concept of power because really a big part of my goal with this Fully Alive business is to help people empower themselves. And, where that really starts is being honest with where we're at. So let's have somebody call in. So computers 2K voice on Skype. I think you just add that contact is how it goes there, and call in. That's the number 2. Computers 2K voice. We're not going to see your face. It's only going to be voice. or you can call in by phone at 919-518-9773. What I can help you with is clarifying your purpose, finding some more passion, finding some more motivation. When we're really aligned with, with who it is we're supposed to be in the world, then naturally the distractions start to fall away. Naturally, we're not going to allow ourselves to be sucked into the drama of whatever it is, the governmental institutions and these sort of ruling institutions are trying to suck us in with. You ever notice how if you flip on your phone, you can just flip over to the left and get sucked into a pool of drama that will never ever end? You ever notice that? And do you ever notice how you have the power inside of you to choose something else? You can choose not to get sucked into all that. You can choose to put your awareness on something that's really going to make a difference. And I suggest that the biggest place, the place where you can start is your body. Okay? Because again, that's where the experience of life happens, is right here. So we can breathe and feel what's happening. I want to say a few more words um about saying yes. Oh, great. So it looks like we might have a caller here. Hello. Welcome to Fully Alive TV. Who am I speaking with?
Hello, Aaron. This is Kathy.
Oh, hi, Kathy. How are you doing this
Uh,
morning?
Doing pretty well. How about you?
Oh, so good. Thanks so much for calling in.
I just wanted to, you were speaking earlier of exploring your edges.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. What resonated there with you about exploring your edges?
I was just curious. You said you had ways to determine what your edges are.
Oh, cool. Yeah, beautiful question. Well, so yeah, one of the ways that we can determine our edges is really just noticing a situation that occurs on a regular basis that is a challenge for us. So, like for me, the one that I mentioned earlier, or one of the ones I mentioned was sort of like stopping my eating at 4 p.m. And this is like sort of a regular basis thing where it's a challenge. I'm my intention is to do this intermittent fasting and to have more energy, but I don't always get it right. Right? Sometimes I it's 5 p.m. and I'm just really hungry, and it's a challenge here. Like, should I eat or should I try to stick with this intermittent fasting? And that's a simple way to notice, like, because this has happened, for months, really. Like, this challenge keeps on coming up. And I'm curious if you have a challenge, maybe sort of like that, something that occurs that you'd like to explore a little bit, and we can just put our compassionate awareness on it and just get curious about it, because really, yeah, go ahead.
Um, I guess I'd like to get over being such a procrastinator.
Mm, yeah, what's a situation where you find yourself procrastinating, Kathy?
Um, like just getting up and taking
Mm,
care of things that need to be done,
mm,
that I'd rather do other things that are more fun,
awesome. Okay.
or things that put me in a different zone, like uh no thinking zone kind of.
Mm, yeah. So you want to spend your time doing something more fun and put you in a zone of no
Well,
thinking.
I guess you would say I'm not sure that I'm really conveying it correctly, but that's the I mean, I like being in a I guess it's kinda like a meditative zone where I'm not thinking about things,
Mm, yeah, okay.
and where if I pull myself out of that, then I've got to start thinking about all these things.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the difference right now, like, that zone where you're not thinking, it feels light, and it sort of feels freer, and then
Yes,
this other thing where it's like you have to do these things you don't really wanna do, that sort of feels heavy.
right, right.
I wonder, so if would you be willing to put your awareness on your body as you're talking about this? And so put your awareness in your body and tell me a little bit about this moment where you start to get sucked into this, like, you have to do stuff, you shouldn't be procrastinating. And well, even as I'm talking about it right now, like, what do you notice in your body?
Increased heart rate,
Hmm,
tension in my core.
okay. Increase heart rate, tension in your core. Hmm. Yeah, what's the is there some sort of fear there?
I don't know.
Hmm. Is it like if you don't do these things, then something bad will happen or you're gonna experience pain?
No, it's, I guess I don't want to think about things because then some things just get me upset, you
Mm,
know?
mhm,
If I think about the real hardcore reality of things,
mm. What is that? How are you feeling in your body right now with that?
the same.
The same? Okay, so I'm gonna ask
Yes,
you to breathe into your heart and your sorry, you said in your core, and
yes.
put your hands over your heart and your core there, and let's just take a few deep breaths together into that part of your body. So as you're doing this here, I want you to ask these parts of your body, what is it that you need in this place? When the thinking comes in and starts to get me down, what does my heart need and what does my core need?
Well, the only thing I'm thinking is I need to just go ahead and do it and get it over with, and then I'll feel much better about it.
Okay. So let's go slow here because I want to explore this. This is great. This is such a good situation. I know you're not the only one who has this challenge. So I'm really glad that you're sharing it. So okay, so the thing that occurs is I need to just plow through and just get this done, right?
Right. But then the more I don't do it, then the more it builds up.
It builds up. What is it that's building up?
I guess the regret that I'm not doing it.
Mm, where does that regret live in your body,
Probably my heart.
your heart? And now ask that place in your heart, what does it really need?
I guess I'm not in tune to myself that much right now because I'm not getting it.
That's okay. That's okay. All right, so let's just take a couple breaths. So you find yourself in this situation. It's happened more than once. Where on the one hand, you just want to have fun and you want to enjoy. You don't want to think about this stuff that you have to do. but then you'll procrastinate and things build up. It's a tough situation. Is it tough, Kathy?
Yes, it can be. I mean, it's not really that I'm having fun. It's just that I'm not thinking about stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, the thinking sounds it just sounds tense. Sounds painful there. Um, I wonder if when you're having fun, I, how much time are you giving yourself to really feed the fun part of yourself and the part where you get to turn off like 100%?
I give myself a considerable amount.
Considerable amount? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, why would you sort of put yourself in this position where you have to do stuff that you don't really want to? What's going on there?
Um, well, there's a lot of things that I need to take care of at this point in my life, as far as um, a lot of clutter
Mhm, mhm.
and taking care of business, as far as planning our future and how it would affect my daughter and,
Okay, so I'm gonna
you know,
pause. So I'm gonna pause you. No, so why so if you don't do these things, like what would happen?
well, I'm not sure. I mean, I know that, like with the clutter, we can't find stuff, but
Mm,
I'm gradually going through this, but it's such a process. I'm trying not to let it overwhelm me, but
mm, well, that's smart.
it,
One step at a time.
and like going through our finances, I just retired and actually getting down to the nitty gritty of everything, that kind of thing, planning.
Maybe it's not that big of a deal. I'm gonna play a little devil's advocate here.
Well, it could be. To say I don't know until I do all the planning. I don't know exactly what I'm looking at.
Is there a way, Kathy, that you could make this fun and energizing for yourself instead of because my sense is there's some dread here. It's just like this drudgery to go through. It's like clutter and planning and thinking. I'm wondering if there's a way that you can make it fun for yourself.
Well, once I get into it, I really do enjoy it. I mean, I don't dread it, the actual doing of it. It's just that it takes me forever because I have to
Yeah.
touch everything and look at everything. And so it takes time.
Hmm.
But I get to the point where people around me think you need to do this faster. You need to just get rid of stuff
And
and
what?
not look at every little thing.
Okay. So people around you are thinking to kind of rush you, and what do you think about it though? How do you feel about it? Like if you could do it any way you wanted to, how would you approach this situation?
I would keep doing it the way that I'm doing it, but um, I would prefer, though, that I could move a little faster, but I'm not sure how to do that. This is just the way I do things.
Okay. Okay. So how's the tension in your heart and core here?
A little less,
A little less? Okay.
yes.
What else do you see that is an opportunity here that maybe you didn't see before?
I don't know. I don't.
I wonder if is there a way that that s- you're sort of being hard on yourself in this situation? Is there a way that you're sort of wanting to push yourself when you've already got a way that works really well, which is just really taking your time?
Well, that's what I've been doing, but I still feel like I need to do it faster.
Yeah. I wonder if maybe how would you feel about letting that part go? About doing it faster? And maybe maybe that part's not serving you. Like maybe how you've been doing it, maybe it's okay. Just the method you're using. How do you feel about that?
Well, I can give it a try. That would be better than nothing, wouldn't it?
Sure, if it helps. I mean, it seems like it creates some extra stress. Like here you are, you're doing it already. You're getting things done. You're doing it in your own time. And then there's this little voice, almost like like a someone whipping a horse, maybe not that harsh, but someone who's just like, yeah, yeah, faster. And then that voice is stressing you out, right?
Yep. Yep.
Maybe
You're
tell
right.
maybe tell that voice to hush. Maybe tell that voice, "Hey, Kathy's getting it done in exactly the time that she needs to." How does that feel?
That feels better, for sure.
Okay, so thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate the openness and offering this here because there's a lot of other people who are dealing with similar issues and maybe they're seeing an opportunity where they're sort of trying to, to whip the horse there and use this carrot and stick approach that's just adding extra stress. So I think that a lot of people right now, you've allowed a lot of other people to get free from this. And maybe it's okay how
Okay.
we're doing things right now. So thank you so much for coming on, Kathy.
Okay, thank you, Aaron.
Okay, enjoy. Have a
All
great
right,
week.
bye-bye.
All right. So that was awesome. Just a little real world opportunity. This is how these things present themselves, right? It's just, it's the little things like I'm procrastinating. And then, having just our own attention on it, having someone else in the conversation about what's happening can allow us to see areas where maybe we didn't consider that. Like maybe we didn't consider that there's an option to talk to ourselves in a different way, right? Or that, maybe we've got a taskmaster in our head and really that taskmaster is just stressing us out more because we're going to get the damn papers done anyway. We're going to figure it all out. So that was beautiful. So next week we're going to have more people call in as well. Thank you so much for that. You can email questions to aaron@fullyalive.coach and um, think about this week. What intentions are you wanting to create? Where do you want to give your energy in terms of, do you want to give it to these news distractions that maybe you're not going to really make a difference with anyway? Maybe you're getting sucked into a drama loop, you know? Um, and maybe you want to give that energy back to yourself in the way that Kathy did just now, putting the awareness here like, hey, there's this situation that's stressing me out in my own life. It doesn't have to do with the news and, things that I'm not going to influence anyway. And then maybe you can have more energy available for you that way. So I hope this has been helpful for you. Thank you so much for tuning in and give me some feedback, questions, comments. I look so much forward to seeing you next week.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and deltaforce.net.